All right. Ooh, I like this question. So, can papal infallibility and authority be traced through the history of the church? Yeah, it can. Um, so thanks to this question, this comes from my wife. She's wonderful. I love it because some people will be like, they'll put their real names in there on YouTube just because it's like from their email account or something, like Gmail, bought out YouTube. And then sometimes it'll be like really obscure and hidden. It'll be like Mikey Pants 3000 or something. It's like, you don't know who that is, but we know who Chelsea is. She's got the say last night name. Yeah. So papal infallibility and authority. Yes. So it's called apostolic succession, of course. And you guys probably know this, but in case you don't, I'll just comment upon it for a little bit. We can trace, this surprised me when I was becoming Catholic. We can trace the popes all the way back to Peter. And in fact, during the liturgy, we mention the first four popes. We mentioned Peter, we mentioned Linus, Cletus. I mean, when you go to Mass next time, listen for these names, because there's a whole liturgy of names, a litany of names. Sorry, there's a whole litany of names, and they'll run through all the apostles. Well, there's a short form and a long form of the Eucharistic prayer. So this is the part of the prayer during the liturgy of the Eucharist. It's after it splits into half. So one half is liturgy of the word, and this is what many Protestants are used to. It's like, okay, we have our readings, we have a little bit of music, we have another reading, then the priest gets a homily. And the homily, or the sermon for Protestants, that's the highlight of the whole service. And then there's the altar call, and then you leave. But for Catholics, that's just the first half. Not that it's longer, but it's much shorter. It's much more condensed. Homilies are pretty short compared to sermons. So you have the liturgy of the word, and then the second half is the liturgy of the Eucharist. This is where the presentation, the procession, in and out of the gifts, and then the priest gets up there and prays this really long called Eucharistic prayer. And during those Eucharistic prayers, there's several different elements of them. There's one litany, and then there's another litany. One litany, I forget which one comes first. I think it's the one of the apostles, and then the second litany is the litany of the martyrs. So the first litany of the apostles would be starting with, he mentions, of course, Jesus' sacrifice, Mary, Joseph, and then he goes through the apostles, and then he goes through the people after the apostles. And he mentions these names. Of course, Peter goes in there with the apostles, and he mentions Linus, Cletus, Clement. Those are the first three popes after Peter. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, all of them except for Clement are still in the 1st century AD. So very, very early. And then, that really blew my mind to realize that, and so this means that for every pope, far back as we can trace, and everything in between, there has been this unbroken succession of apostolic authority, so that the Pope gets his authority ultimately from Peter, who ultimately gets it from Jesus. Yeah. I hope that answers that question. I don't know if I can, like since I can't see you, I can't see you be like, like in a classroom, I would just wait for that, be like light bulb, the nonverbal cues. But I'm going to assume that's a good reply until that my reply was sufficient until somebody says, no, wait, so.